What's up everyone, it's Simran Singh back with another video, and today is part 2 of my interview series. And today I'm going to be talking about how to prepare for your interview and what to expect on your interview day. If you haven't seen part 1 of my interview series, I highly recommend watching it. My friend Frankie and I go over very common dental school interview questions, and we kind of give you our insight on the whole process as well. The video, however, does have very bad sound quality, so that's my apologies. So if you do get a chance to watch it, I highly recommend watching it on a desktop, but hopefully you find the content helpful. So today's gonna be more focused on the preparation of interviews, and I'm gonna talk about more what you should do when you receive an interview. You guys have gotten all the hard parts done, so now you just have to go in, be yourself, and hopefully kill your guys' interview. And step number 1 is obviously you need to know the interview format at the dental school you're interviewing at. The 3 possible interview formats are the one-on-one interview, the multiple mini interviews, which is the MMI, and the group interview. And before you even pick schools and apply to them, you should ideally know what type of interview format that school is doing. And in my last video, I go over those interview styles more in detail, so definitely take a look at that video if you want to know more specifics about it. But yeah, when you submit your application, try to get yourself as comfortable as you can. And the reason why I say that is because in some instances, you might have 3 to 4 weeks to prepare and even months. But in some instances, especially if you do your interview late, you might only have a week to even days to prepare for your interview. So I highly recommend the moment you submit your application that you start working on it. That way you can be more confident if you were in a situation where you don't have that much time to prepare. I highly recommend doing mock interviews, going over common dental school interview questions. I went over 4 very common dental school interview questions, but if you like this video and subscribe to my channel, I can send you about 40 to 50 more dental school interview questions that you could be asked. So those will definitely be helpful if you guys are interested in receiving that. It's completely free. In these mock interviews, you definitely want to practice maintaining eye contact, not doing too many actions with your hands, even though some is okay. But yeah, a great way to prepare is doing mock interviews, and I heavily recommend doing it as early as possible because you never know when you will get your interview. And make sure you do these mock interviews with people that will give you constructive feedback and help you improve your interview skills. But yeah, that's definitely one way to prepare. It helps you get comfortable with the interview environment, and obviously it just increases your confidence. So I heavily recommend doing that. In your preparation process, you should also know the school you're interviewing at very well. And this could even start before you even apply. If the school holds workshops or open houses, it gives you an opportunity to learn as much as you can about the school because you're hearing firsthand what the school has to offer. But a lot of information is also on the school's website, so I recommend learning about the dental schools that way as well. The school's website is definitely a good way to prepare because it talks about the school's curriculum, what programs the students are offered at the school, the types of service the school does, and even what specific specialties the school has to offer. And there's always specific information that is unique to that school, so it's definitely a way to learn about it before going to your interview. But I think the best way to get an idea of how the school is just talking to current dental students. I'm sure if you emailed admissions, you can get into contact with these dental students and they'll give you good feedback about any questions you might have. So I heavily recommend doing that before your interviews if you can. Another big part of the preparation for the interview process is knowing yourself. And when I say this, I mean know your application inside and out. Because when you go to a dental school interview, regardless of the format, they could ask you anything on your application. So make sure your application is an accurate representation about you, and make sure you can talk about your experiences in detail. And just make sure you're genuine about the experiences you list on your application, because you can't talk about it well, it's not going to come across as genuine, and it's not going to make a very good impression on your interviewer. But yeah, those are definitely very good ways to prepare in my opinion. Just make sure you practice and get yourself comfortable with the interview environment. Make sure you know about the schools that you're interviewing at, and also just make sure you know yourself and the experiences you put on your application. But if you guys have any other suggestions on how to prepare, make sure you guys leave that in the comment section down below. I'm sure whoever's watching this video could use any suggestion possible. But yeah, so that's how you prepare. And now I'm gonna talk about what to expect on your interview day. And I actually wish there was more content talking about what to expect during your interview day, because obviously it's a very stressful day for most people and you kind of want to have an idea of what you're walking into. After you confirm your interview, you'll get a schedule of what your interview day is going to look like, and you've got to make sure you read that part thoroughly as well, just so you know what to expect and what items you may need to bring, because some schools may ask for like a passport size photo or specific forms you need to fill out. So just make sure you read those emails very thoroughly just so you know what to expect on your day, how it's scheduled, and what you may or may not need to bring. So on your interview day, you're gonna wake up, get ready, you're gonna wear business professional attire. Hopefully you're not like me and going over the interview questions on my phone the whole morning. Don't stress yourself out too much. But yeah, you're gonna wear business professional attire. And if you guys don't know what that is, I have a link down below describing what business professional attire is. But yeah, I honestly wouldn't overthink what to wear. Just make sure it matches the dress code. Because obviously they wanna get to know you, not your wardrobe. Make sure you take breath mints or anything that makes you have fresh breath, because you don't wanna be talking to people and have your breath stink. You don't wanna be talking to people with stinky breath and making that type of impression. Especially if you're going to dental school, you gotta make sure you're practicing good oral hygiene. But yeah, so you're gonna get to whatever school. This could be anytime in the morning or even in the afternoon. I know I did a few afternoon interviews, which were blessed because I got to sleep in and prepare. But yeah, it could be anytime from like 8 a.m. or even as late as like 12:30, or even I think I had an interview at 3 once. So it could be at any time, but obviously when you schedule it, you're gonna know the times for everything. So a lot of people say your interview starts the moment you walk into school. Honestly, I'm not sure how accurate that really is, but it's always good to stay safe. You just want to make sure you're greeting whoever is there signing you in. So when you meet the people that are working your interview, just make sure you give them a handshake, introduce yourself, be nice. You know, don't think too much about it, but obviously just make a good impression. But yeah, after you check in, you'll be seated with other students, and you could have anywhere from like 5 to 50 other people in your interview. You know, I had both. So I would highly recommend just introducing yourself to whoever you sit by and just getting to know them, because at your interview, you're gonna meet people from all over the country and even from Canada. So like, it's a great way to just network and, you know, get to know people, because like there are still people to this day that I talk to that I just met solely for my interview. So it's a great way to start building your relationships, because you never know, this could be your future classmate one day. I also think talking to other people is a good way to de-stress and maybe just calm some of the nerves you may have. But yeah, definitely make sure you interact with people, because you never know, these people might be your future classmates. Most of the dental schools at the interviews that I attended will do some type of presentation about the school, and this presentation is led by a faculty member. So you go into your interview already knowing specific aspects about the school, or maybe even the programs that you want to talk about. So during the presentations, they might even talk about that stuff more in detail. So I would highly recommend taking notes during the presentations. Everyone does, and it's completely okay. Most schools even provide you with like a notepad and writing utensils. I was never one to bring my own, and I know a lot of people did, and I definitely recommend that you should. I just never did. But yeah, those presentations are a great way to learn about the school's curriculum more in detail, specific programs they may have, and just aspects about the school that you might have not even known. So yeah, definitely take notes during the presentation. Everyone is, it's completely fine. But yeah, after the presentation, what you do next just depends on the school and how they've scheduled your interview. Keep in mind the interview process can be anywhere from like 4 to even 7 hours. And I know some schools even had like a 2-part interview where you'll do a tour, you'll get to talk to students and meet faculty members on one day, and the actual interview process is the day after. But yeah, depending on how your interview is scheduled, you could do your interview early, or it could be the very last thing you do at the school. So yeah, most schools do a very in-depth tour, which is obviously really nice. Like, you get to see the sim labs, the clinic, the classrooms, even like specific technology that their dental school might have. But yeah, obviously they're gonna show you stuff that's specific to their school. In a way, the tour is also kind of a way to draw you towards it, because if you like what the school has to offer, you're more inclined to want to go there. So I really liked going through the school tours, and if you have any questions about what they show you, you know, you're always free to ask them. They always answer it. These tours are mostly run by students from what I remember, but it could also be a faculty member running the tour. And remember, when you're going on these tours, always remember to ask questions, because you could spend the next 4 years of your life in this specific school, so you want to know every detail possible. But yeah, they'll do school tours. Most schools do student panels, and I think the student panels are the most important part of your whole interview process, because this is your opportunity to ask them any questions that you have about the school. And this could be anything about the curriculum, this could be anything about professors, like anything. The students who run the student panel aren't allowed to talk about the questions they were asked or the answers they gave. So it's definitely the most important part. You could literally ask them, like, does administration and do faculty members, do they want you to succeed, or do they make it really hard for you? Like, you can really ask those types of questions. And I think those types of questions are important, because again, you're gonna spend the next 4 years of your lives here. You wanna put yourself in the best possible position to succeed. And if students at the dental school are saying that they don't like the faculty members, they don't feel like there's enough resources for them to succeed and do well on exams or practicals, like, you should know that information. So definitely be prepared to ask those types of questions during student panel, or even just general questions like, how did the curriculum prepare you for the boards? Because as most of you know, the boards are changing, so you want to go to a school that best prepares you for those exams. So yeah, I think the student panel is definitely the most important part, because you're free to ask any questions about the school, and the students really give you the best idea of how the school is because they're the ones that are currently going through it. Lastly, what you're going to expect during your interview, again, this could be early in the interview day or later, is the actual interview itself. During your interviews, just make sure you stay calm and be yourself. So yeah, before you even sit down for your interview, when you're called in, so just make sure you introduce yourself to your interviewer, and this could be a student, this could be a faculty member, or even the dean of the school. So make sure you introduce yourself, maintain eye contact, and give them a firm handshake before you are seated. That part is definitely expected at most schools, so just make sure you do that. But yeah, if I have any advice on the actual interview itself while you're being asked questions, just make sure you're making eye contact with your interviewer or interviewers. Make sure your responses are genuine. Don't sound like a robot. Don't sound like your answers are rehearsed. Just be yourself and give genuine responses. And even if you come across a situation where you're just baffled by a question and not able to answer it, it's completely okay to just stay silent for 5 to 10 seconds and kind of just think about your answer, because stuff like that happens all the time. I've been accepted to schools where I did that. I remember I was reading a specific MMI scenario and I was just very confused, and it took me 5 to 10 seconds to kind of gather my thoughts. And you can even ask questions about the scenarios or about a question they might ask you that you're confused with. That's completely okay. Just don't feel like you have to give an immediate response, because sometimes the response might come out really bad and something you didn't intend on saying. So if you are ever stuck during your interview, it's completely okay to take like 5 to 10 seconds to gather your thoughts. I highly recommend doing that if you ever are in that situation. But yeah, honestly, at most interviews, like, my interviewers made me feel super comfortable. They were very nice to me. At some of them, they were even complimenting me, and that's something that completely threw me off guard, because I'm just like, whoa, like, I thought I'm being interviewed, why are you here complimenting me? So yeah, most interviewers are just super nice, because if you do get the interview, they already like you on paper. They just want to get to know who you are. So just always keep that in mind. Just try your best to stay calm and just be yourself. But yeah, hopefully you guys can utilize the things that I did to prepare for my interview, and hopefully this video gave you a good idea of what to expect during your interview day. Again, most schools have the presentation about their school, some type of tour, a student panel, and obviously the actual interview. And some of these interviews last all day and they can be draining, so just make sure you're prepared for that. But yeah guys, hopefully this was helpful. If you haven't already, please subscribe to my channel. I'm going to be making more videos like these, and I'm going to start vlogging my dental school experience once I start in August. Thank you guys so much for watching. Have a great day.